Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today on this Monday. And as always, on Mondays, I want to give thanks to the people who gave super thanks during the week and address any topics that was mentioned in those super thanks. So for those of you who gave super thanks, you are greatly appreciated. For those of you who continue to view, like, share, comment, and support this channel, not only this channel, but other channels like it, whether you're talking about Angry Old Hoops or Sports and Fitness Rants or Phenomenal Fitness or Uncut Hoops or Dreamers Pro or any of the channels that give you their honest take and not their take that was paid for. So thank you all. And first up, again, a very loyal supporter of the channel who I truly cannot thank enough. Shout out to @43vert for the $10 super thanks, and he simply says thanks and thank you very much. Thank you to you and your wife for continuing to listen and support the channel. You guys both are greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. And next up, we have Keith Brazel 6909 with the $5 super thanks. And he says, I was wondering what you think about the Lebron Museum. I didn't think it was real at first. I'm sure a lot of us didn't believe that, but you know, for someone who needs praise, it shouldn't seem that far-fetched. He said, but the insecurity level of him is insane. I believe he is the type of guy who would fake his death just to see who would show up to his funeral. Okay, shout out to @Keith Brazel 6909 for that comment. Yeah, so let's talk about this museum. This is the one I decided to title the video because I actually did a video about the museum when it first got announced, or maybe it was like shortly after it opened or something. Because again, when I first heard about it, I didn't believe it either. You know, I was like, surely this is not a real thing. But as we've come to learn, LeBron James' need for praise knows no bound. So let's talk about this museum. First of all, let me say this. Fanboys, you guys love to bring up off-the-court stuff for LeBron James. Just recently, I've had several fanboys. It's kind of one of you guys' normal go-tos when you can't think of anything else that relates to the basketball court. But here's the thing about LeBron James. I think it's ironic that every so-called good deed he does, cameras are present. And to me, the fact that cameras has to be present for every good deed this guy does tells me that, again, it's about the praise. Again, it's about, hey, look at me, everybody. I'm doing something good. Put that on my resume. Add that to my basketball legacy. And again, when you contrast this to MJ, who was criticized heavily for not doing enough for charity and for black people, and then it comes out later in his career that he actually did tons. He actually donated to lots of charities. He's actually donated a lot to causes that help black people. But the thing is MJ didn't need praise for that, so a lot of his stuff was behind the scenes. And here's the ironic thing is, when you're doing good deeds in front of the camera, it is most likely that you are not doing it for a good reason. You're not doing it out of the kindness of your heart. You're doing it, again, to say, hey, look at me, do good things so that you can have a positive view of me. And it's ironic that when you don't publicize these things, then you're seen as someone who doesn't do these things. So it's kind of like a catch-22. But so this LeBron James museum, to me, is just, it represents every reason why LeBron James is not the basketball player that he could have been. And not the basketball player that he wanted to be. Again, when you're at the end of your career and you're begging people, when you're chasing this longevity to make your GOAT cases, like, maybe if I could just play 10 more years, people will see me as the GOAT. Maybe if I can get to 45,000 points, people will see me as the GOAT. You know, when you get to that pathetic point, to me, this all ties in with where he's at. You know, the need for praise. The need for praise is why he hadn't gotten to where he wants to get. The need for praise is why he has this museum. You know, the need for praise is why he wants to play with Bronny. That's my opinion. The need for praise is why he got up on the ESPYs and talked about how much he's done for the game of basketball and had his wife introduce him as the GOAT. You know, so it all ties in. You know, the whole museum thing is totally ridiculous, but I'm expecting all you fanboys to go to it. You know, you guys should go to it and let us know how it is. Because I guarantee you I won't set foot in it even if I was right around the corner from it. But anyway, thanks again. Shout out to @KeithBrazell6909 with the $5 super thanks. You are greatly appreciated. And next up we have I Am Morris 3449 with the $2 super thanks. He says, your take on all championships are not created equal was spot on. It's exactly why Jordan was so emotional when he finally got over the hump to get his first ring in 91. The road getting there took an extraordinary effort to build himself up, build his team up, accept an offense that took the ball out of his hands and break through the Pistons. Today, those growing pains just aren't there to that level when players are hopping from team to team and or trading half the roster every year like the deer. LOL. Keep up the good work and keep educating these YouTube streets. Absolutely. Shout out again to I Am Morris 3449. And yeah, absolutely. You know, again, to me, one of the most striking photos is, you know, go look at the photos of Kevin Durant winning that first championship with Golden State. You know, I looked at those, I'm like, does this win even move him? And I think we all know the answer to that. The answer is, how could it? You went and joined already champions. How good could that have felt? Not only did you go join already champions, but it's like, that's Steph Curry's team. You know, what makes it feel good is when you are a lone superstar with some role players or Robin and you get the job done. That's what makes the journey feel good at the end, and you feel like, oh, I did something. Now, of course, Kevin Durant outplayed LeBron James. However, like I said, to me, LeBron James and Kevin Durant are very similar. I call Kevin Durant LeBron James Jr. Because to me, both of them play their best when they have a safety net. LeBron played his best basketball in Miami because Dwayne Wade was a safety net. Dwayne Wade was already a champion. Dwayne Wade knew how to get it done. And it's the same situation for Kevin Durant going to the Warriors. Steph Curry that day had already won. Steph Curry was a safety net. He's a great player, you know, to me on the same level. If not, I put Curry past Kevin Durant. You know, a lot of people say Kevin Durant is one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, and yes, he's a great scorer, but he's weak-minded. Again, LeBron James Jr. But anyway, shout out to I Am Morris 3449 for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much. And next up, we have currently, now I'll say one of my favorite YouTubers. And if you're not familiar with him, please go to his channel, give him a subscribe, give him some likes, because he has some great content. Shout out to Phenomenal Fitness with the $5 super thanks. Hey, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you continuing to show the channel some love, and I appreciate the content that you do, because you have some great perspectives. His comment was, yo, totally off topic. Here is finally someone mainstream talking about LeBron James. Now, I actually haven't got a chance to check out the video yet. And he says, I appreciate the love as always and pray that your channel continues to grow. Hey, thanks so much. I'm going to check out that video and likely do a video from it. But shout out again to Phenomenal Fitness. Like I said, if you're not familiar, please go over to his channel, give him a like and a subscribe. And yeah, because he definitely has some great content and great points of view. And again, he is now part of the content creators who are putting the truth out there unfiltered and and not giving you paid opinions. And next up, shout out to @SnugChamberlain 9986 with the $25 super thanks. Hey, thank you so much for continuing to show love to the channel every single week. And he says, great content as usual. Greatly appreciated, Uncommon Sense. I have 3 points I'd like to get your opinion. First one. He says, going back watching some old Michael Jordan archives, I ran across an interview after the shot on ELO where the reporter asked Michael Jordan what's his pre-game ritual and his motivation behind the shot. Michael stated it was Anita Baker's song, Giving You the Best That I've Got. So if you can remember, how was Anita Baker's music, and do you think it's influential, especially for that time? I mean, it's got to hold something. If Michael Jordan listens to it before games and literally wants to do what the song implies, so what do you think? Good question. Matter of fact, all three of these are good questions. But yeah, so first of all, let me say this. I am very much into music, as you all probably know. Anita Baker is a legend. Her music for that time is legendary. Fantastic singer, and definitely an influence on the culture back then. You know, maybe not as big as influence as some other things, but if you were like into some serious R&B type stuff, Anita Baker was definitely somebody who you should be familiar with. But yeah, and Michael Jordan in that song, I feel like, I'm not sure what Michael's motivation behind that, listening to that, except for the fact that we all have music that reaches us and that we like to listen to for different occasions. But I think it's very appropriate that he happened to be listening to that particular song. And again, you know, I feel like with most people, if you look into their lives, everything that's around their lives gives you a picture of what kind of person that they are. So, you know, again, the fact that Michael Jordan listens to Anita Baker, Anita Baker is a very soulful artist, and I would say an artist that touches people in a way that's not tongue-in-cheek like pop music. And I think this speaks to Michael Jordan because, again, you know, comparing Michael Jordan and LeBron James, to me, LeBron James, I hate to say this, but is a very shallow individual compared to Michael Jordan. And matter of fact, I'm gonna do a video on this. But if you just listen to LeBron James talk versus Michael Jordan, LeBron never says anything insightful. I mean, I feel like he never says anything that you're like, okay, yeah, that might be something good to consider. But Michael Jordan has tons of stuff like that if you listen to Michael Jordan talk, I feel like he leads you directly to success by the things that he says. So yeah, you know, Anita Baker was definitely a huge influence Like I said, especially if you were into the real R&B back then. So I can see Michael Jordan connecting with that kind of music. And second, he says, I want to touch on Len Bias, who at the time was one of the great college prospects in the 80s. Do you think if he was able to play out his career for the Boston Celtics, even though they were stacked, that he may have been better than Jordan or come close? Do you think with Larry Bird's leadership, this guy would have been a top 50 player like Michael made Scotty? What do you think that guy's ceiling was? Do you think no matter what, Jordan was going to be the definitive great, or do you see these two guys battling it out year after year? I'm glad you asked this question, actually, because I don't know, a couple of months ago, I was actually watching a documentary on Len Bias, and it's very tragic how his life ended. But what I do want to say to that, and this is kind of what I thought about seeing that. As you know, he passed from trying some drugs, with his friends and whatnot. And, from all accounts, that wasn't in his character. It was like he hadn't done that, but, I guess they were celebrating the fact that he got drafted by Boston. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But and so he was kind of, partying that night and did some things uncharacteristic. But the fact that he made that decision, to me, again, separates him from Michael Jordan. So as great as an athlete as he was, the fact that he was able to make that decision makes me question, again, would he have had that same kind of dedication that Michael Jordan had coming into the league? Because we all know that Michael Jordan, when he first got into the league, he didn't party. He didn't party with the rest of the team. He came in with one mission and one mission on his mind only. Even like I said, Scottie Pippen admitted that when he first came into the league, he was too busy enjoying the money. I guess that's his excuse for the 7 points per game rookie season. But to me, people who make those kind of decisions, like, they end up where they end up for a reason. And if Len Bias had made it to the NBA, I definitely think he would have been a top 50 player. I gotta say that. I feel like I can almost say that with certainty. And playing with Larry Bird, I can't see him being Larry Bird's Pippen. Len Bias was much more talented than a Pippen. But I could see them two having kind of been co-stars on that team. Both running the show, so to speak. And I think Larry Bird would have wanted to win enough that wouldn't have been an issue. And Len Bias coming onto a team to where Larry Bird was already established star, I feel like probably would have, did what he had to do to fit in. But what would have been interesting, though, is to see if Len Bias being in the league would have pushed Michael Jordan even further. Because, again, Michael Jordan seemed to be the kind of person that the greater the challenge, the greater he pushes himself. So that has always been my thought, that if Len Bias got into that league, maybe we would have seen an even greater Michael Jordan. If he had someone who was kind of like direct competition to him, we might have seen an even greater Michael Jordan. But I still think Michael Jordan would have been the greatest player that we have ever seen play basketball, also known as the GOAT. And last but not least, third question, he says, I want to get your opinion on Michael Jordan's brother, Larry Jordan, who only grew to be 5'8", 5'9", while Michael Jordan was 6'6". Do you think Larry is solely responsible for creating this ultra-competitive guy we know as Michael Jordan? Larry made basketball teams while Michael got cut. Their father, James, called on Larry more frequently at times for help, leaving Michael left out. And from that moment on, all Michael knew was to compete and do it at the highest level. So do you think competitiveness is something you're born with, or do you think it's something you gradually make or train yourself to have? Good question. I honestly think it's both. I think some people have more of a natural competitive gene than others, but I also think that you can either enhance that competitiveness or you can decrease that competitiveness. Just like athleticism. Again, it's kind of what Michael Jordan, Kenny Smith said the thing he doesn't get credit for is being the most fundamentally sound basketball player ever. And again, Michael Jordan could have rested on that natural athleticism, but what he did was made himself the most complete by getting very technical with the fundamentals. And I think it's the same way with anything. I feel like we all have certain strengths we are born with, but certain events in life, some that are out of our control, some that are in our control, certain events in life can either enhance or diminish those attributes. So, like someone else who grew up in Michael Jordan's circumstances probably wouldn't have turned out to be the GOAT. So I think it's both. Michael Jordan was who he is. His DNA was competitive, but those events that he went through definitely enhanced that. But anyway, shout out again to @SnugChamberlain9986. Thank you so much for the continued support, and we actually have one more from him with the $10 super thanks, and he says, thanks. I saw an interview with Dwayne Wade and Chris Paul, and they were talking about the 2011 free agency in which Chris Paul had a chance to join Miami, which Wade was totally pushing for, as he stated himself. The team would have consisted of Chris Paul, Wade, LeBron, and Bosh, a total mega squad, all to beat and try to stop Kobe Bryant and his greatness. I got to tell you, man, I lost a lot of respect for Wade. He was one of my favorite players growing up, and he even got a chance to suit up for my Chicago Bulls in 2016. But it has to be a question mark aside those last 2 rings. The guy has been trying to team up with multiple superstars trying to win, so he has to be in the same boat with LeBron James. I'm sorry, Wade is a part of the teaming up and super teams as well as James, and he helped usher it in. That was his mentality, to team up, so therefore his championship, with the exception of the 06, should have asterisks. What do you think? Unfortunately, I totally agree with this. I 100%. Hey, we on the same page with this. When I saw that Wade was complicit in the teaming up because of Kobe Bryant. Again, hey, you fanboys, remember this. D-Wade and your king was conspiring to team up because of one man, Kobe Bryant. Remember that when you keep on trying to put LeBron above Kobe. Let's be for real. Go on Club Shay Shay and watch it yourself. Don't take my word for it. But yeah, it was really disappointing. But honestly, like, D-Wade has just been a disappointment in general. Like over the last several years, and some of you guys probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But he just shown that his actions of lately makes it very surprising that he was actually even able to to carry that team in 06. But at the end of the day, he was a competitor. But something is, I don't know what happened. And I don't know how he thought to himself. And more people need to actually talk about this, because we talk about LeBron James, we talk about Kevin Durant. They even talk about the Celtics big three and all this stuff. But D-Wade never gets brought up in that conversation. And honestly, I put Curry in that conversation too, because Curry was complicit in bringing Durant to the Warriors. So again, like, this is the culture. This is the culture of superstars not wanting to compete against each other. And it's really sickening. But yeah, I mean, D Wade, I never looked at him the same again after hearing that, like, that was actually the motivation and he was complicit in that move to get LeBron James to Cleveland, especially to beat Kobe Bryant. So D Wade, like, you are admitting that you can't go up against Kobe. So was it strictly just about getting the ring? Because again, the ring is only as great as the journey. But anyway, yeah, I have to agree with you on that. I don't look at D Wade the same, and I definitely think it should be an asterisk with those 2 championships he won with LeBron for sure. But anyway, thanks again at Snug Chamberlain 9986 for the $10 super thanks. Greatly appreciate it. And last but not least, we have In the Groove 56 with the $10 super thanks, and he simply says thanks, and that's on my video about LeBron James making the worst decision. And yeah, so again, thank you all so much for continuing to support the channel. Thanks to everyone who gives super thanks. Thanks to everyone who watches my videos. Thanks to everyone who subscribes, who shares the video. And again, you know, I hope you all continue to support other content creators doing the same thing, which is bringing the truth, bringing honesty and honest opinions and takes into this space. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about some of these topics in the comments. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.